Hey guys, Jeremy here from School of Wok Covent Garden. It is absolutely Wok Wednesday once again, and this week it's Mongolian beef, a dish for our friends across the pond. So, I have no idea where this dish is from. Is it Mongolia? Probably not. I think it's one of those takeaway dishes made up in the US or somewhere like that. But it tastes absolutely brilliant and it's really easy to make. The first things first is I'm just going to get all my veg prepped and get that sort of base sauce, or all the ingredients for the base sauce ready. I'm kind of cutting my spring onion in small, rough chunks because I want this spring onion to flavour the sauce rather than for garnish at the end. Got plenty of spring onion there. So, ginger, quite similarly, we're going to go for nice sort of chunks of ginger. I want to flavour this sauce quite heavily with ginger, garlic, spring onion, your classic ingredients in Chinese cooking. So I'm going to go for good sort of chunks and then bash them out, but keep them intact. In fact, I'll pop them just before my spring onion here. Just compiling my wok clock, or what we like to call the wok clock at School of Wok, so I know what's going in first, second, third. Garlic, similar again. I'm not going to cut them too small or too fine because I'm actually going to make the beef, or cut the beef into sort of large dices, which is probably not the normal done thing, but I want to keep the beef nice and succulent. So just chunks of garlic that I'm going to bash through, and then just pile that on with my ginger. So garlic, ginger, spring onion, that's all ready to go. I'm going to make up a sauce in a second, but the beef I'm going to cut into nice chunks. Any sort of big bits of fat, just take those off. I've got sirloin here. So I want nice dices. You could just flatten them out a little if you wanted, but actually I'm going for more chunky bits of beef here. I'm going to cook this restaurant style, so we're going to actually blanch it in oil first before getting the sauce ready. It's getting quite fatty here, so actually it's okay. Good dices of beef. Now, one of the things that I find often are quite lacking in some sort of online recipes and things, especially with Chinese food, is actual marinating meat. A lot of people sort of just go straight into the cooking without putting any flavour into the meat itself. I always like to put a base flavour into the meat. So we're going to start with a very classic marinade, a bit of light soy sauce, some sesame oil, and a bit of sugar. Light soy, we will use light soy again as the main sort of savoury flavour for the sauce. So just a couple of spoons of light soy, a drizzle of sesame oil, and then some sugar. We've got brown sugar here, so just a pinch of that. Now, because we're sort of going to blanch this or cook this in oil, almost like deep frying your meat to seal, we need a bit of corn flour to get that sort of slightly crisp edge around the beef as well. So I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons, let's go for 3 teaspoons for that amount of beef, of corn flour, and just give that a good mix around, massage all that flavour into there. Ideally, if you had time, cover that, leave that overnight in the fridge. So restaurant style cooking of this type of dish is that you blanch the meat in the wok first to get an immediate seal around each piece of meat. Just go careful with it. You do want to make sure that each piece separates out nicely and seals well. It's on a high heat because I've got a fair amount of meat in there. And that corn flour will start to brown quite quickly. Give it about a minute or so to just get a slight crisp edge on the outside of the meat. You can see that edge of the meat from the corn flour just browning nicely. You don't want to overcook this beef, but we are literally just going to flash fry it into the sort of caramelised sauce at the end. So this is the main part of the beef's cooking process. So the beef's had that instant seal, and of course it's got a fair amount of oil around it. This is not a healthy way to cook this, but nice to show you guys the restaurant way. So that excess oil can get poured out. Keep it on a nice heat. Make sure that there's enough oil in the base of your wok for your sort of full ingredients here. So ginger, garlic into the wok. That's going to get an instant sear. I've got some whole dry red chilies here, been soaked in water. That's going in there as well with my spring onions. At any time you need a little more oil, just take it from the hot oil that you blanch your beef in. This is proper restaurant cooking, guys. So sear that ginger. It's nice having it all whole because that's going to interact well with the actual sort of large chunks of beef. Just keep that going on a high heat. The next thing I'm going to do is start to pour in my light soy sauce and sugar. Brown sugar, I've got some light soy sauce, instant bubble. I've got a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar here. That's going to caramelise that very quickly. It's almost like making a quick chili sauce. Can you see how quickly that sort of boils up? I've actually got a bit of chicken stock here because I just want to keep this going a little and let it reduce down. But it also adds a bit of savoury flavour to the dish other than just being salty from the light soy sauce. So you want that vigorous boil, and then I'm just waiting for that sugar to start to caramelise once more, having added that extra liquid. Okay, so this texture here right now is getting just right to then be ready to wrap around the beef. I'll show you that. So dripping consistency but not quite caramelised. Once it's at that texture, your beef can come back in. I'm keeping it on a high heat for just a second, just so it gets nice and caramelised. When it's getting to that sort of more caramelly point, I'll give it a couple of flicks and then serve it out. It's really quick, but there is a certain technique to it. A couple of flicks, back up to a boil. You can see now I'm just sort of pushing that caramelised sauce around the beef. It's just wrapped around nicely now, so that is ready. So you can see from really simple ingredients how easy it is to make something super tasty. My version of a Mongolian beef. That's great. You really get the flavour of ginger and garlic from that sort of instant fry, but the brown sugar in there to caramelise around the beef. And for me, having it in dices like this keeps it nice and succulent inside with a great crisp finish on the out. If you like this recipe and you want to learn more and it just makes you feel hungry every time you watch, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.